Good morning from the campus of the United States Sports Academy here in Daphne, Alabama. It's Wednesday morning and it's Sports Talk. Thank you for joining us. Each week we discuss current and pertinent issues in the world of sport. This morning we're going to speak with two people that have some expertise in the area of sports nutrition. To my left and your right is Ms. Tonya Butler-Collins. She's a doctoral teaching assistant and a retired U.S. Army service person. To my right is Dr. Tim Foley, Dean of Student Services, who played baseball in the Big 12 at Kansas State. Each week we try to select a good topic and appropriate faculty or staff to discuss these issues. My name is Dr. Arthur Ogden, and I serve as the moderator for United States Sports Academy Sports Talk. Well, last week, after the Philadelphia Eagles came from behind to win, one of their defensive backs, was it Rashad Williams or Robert Williams? Yeah, made a complaint that the program that Chip Kelly was instituting for them really stressed them. We're going to talk a little bit about that, because what Chip Kelly did was he imported the program that he and Coach Harris out at Oregon had implemented, which included and focused more on nutrition on a very personal, customized level. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the amazing thing is what's been called the arms race amongst the major college athletic programs, with all this TV money they're getting, had been focusing on new weight rooms, new indoor facilities, and all these cute little amenities which were designed to perhaps recruit good athletes and then keep them there. But this new wrinkle that has to do with healthy eating habits and nutrition, every university in the Power 5 conferences is scrambling to set the most nutritious table it can for its athletes. And this is what we're going to look at. Training tables have always been a fact of life for athletes at major universities. How good they were is always debatable, but at least some of these athletes got a decent meal 3 times a day. Sometimes they were limited in the amounts of food. And you remember last year after the NCAA basketball tournament, Chavez Napier complained, well, we're going to bed hungry at night because the NCAA's regulations limited the access to the cafeterias and so forth that were available to athletes. The NCAA has since changed that. But these training tables were designed to make certain that their athletes were eating properly. Quick move to today. The top athletic institutions are building impressive monuments and edifices to sport nutrition. Auburn University just opened its $6.6 million wellness kitchen. Nebraska claims to have been the first to ever have a sports training table. Of course, they were the first to do an awful lot of things in sports under the name of nutrition. And the University of Mississippi's Athletics Nutrition Division has collaborated with the University School of Applied Sciences to provide a top-notch staff for the nutrition needs of the athletes. They weren't just going out and getting some local chef. Nutrition is a science, as I know Tonya is going to share with us because she's an expert in this field. Now we take a look at Chip Kelly and what he has done. They have had phenomenal success at Oregon, and they've had phenomenal success with the Eagles as well. Now it seems that where we are today is proper nutrition, proper life skills training and teaching, proper care of one's body is a primary focus. You know, you just don't hear the coaches when somebody comes off with a pretty bunged up knee just say, oh, go run it off. It may turn out to be something far more difficult than that. But proper nutrition for these athletes is of the utmost importance, considering the great amounts of energy and exertion that they always experience. So it is an investment in the health and the well-being of the athletes in particular. But the grand scheme of things, It is just plain good sense for the overall program. So, panel, after that windy introduction, you have material in front of you. You've been talking about this, and you've been dealing with this. We've talked about it for a couple of days. What are your observations, real quickly, Tonya?
Well, I think the first thing is it's long overdue. We have since known that the nutritional needs of the athlete is just as important, if not more, than the overall performance. If they are not supplied appropriately with nutrition that sustains the energy, they're not going to be able to continue playing the full duration of the sport.
And perhaps more prone to injury.
Absolutely more prone to injury and a slower recovery post-injury.
Yeah. You were an athlete.
I think with the stress and the schedule that the division to go through, actually, in the Alabama Media Guide, it showed what is it like to be an Alabama football player. You go from 6:30 a.m. to 9 at night. And
that includes going to classes.
That includes going to class. That includes strength, video, everything. And to do that, to maintain that schedule, you need to eat properly. And it's an investment. It's an investment, and it looks pretty good so far.
Now, there are some differences that Tonya and I were talking about offline. There are some differences in these Power 5 conferences. And the point that we wanted to make today was they're realizing that the extra money they have is wiser to invest it back into the individual athletes, to nutrition and training, as opposed to buying a new scoreboard or something. But Tonya's had some experiences at some of these smaller schools, NCAA Division II schools or NAIA. Tonya, what do you see the difference there?
As far as instilling nutrition?
Yeah.
Well, I think, one, it's very difficult to do this because of the budgets. They're not funded the same way as some of these Power 5 schools are funded, and a lot of this comes on the backs of other students and different fees, and so I think it is really much more difficult to build these type of facilities, especially when, it was limited to athletes, and now because the NCAA making it to where it has to be available to other students, I think it's really not feasible for a lot of these Division II schools and smaller schools because it's just not cost effective. The athletes still need the same kind of nutrition, but they just can't afford to do it. So it leaves a lot of universities and colleges who could benefit from this, it leaves them out because of funding.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think what the trickle-down effect, I really hope that, again, educate. I hope these athletes that don't have maybe can begin to see, well, look what University of Oregon's doing. Look what Philadelphia Eagles, look what Ole Miss is doing. I got to eat better too. So maybe we can, hopefully it'll trickle down and athletes, whether junior high, high school, can start eating even without the training table in front of them. Maybe they can make smarter choices, so to speak, when they go to their local Walmarts.
But here's the problem with that. A lot of universities and colleges I have come from are getting away from teaching the health and wellness classes, which used to be required courses for everyone in general education. Well, they have found that it's more important to have the university experience as a class instead of health and wellness. So they're not getting that kind of education. If they're not getting it from their family and they're not getting it from high school, they're not getting it from us. So they really and truly, they don't have the knowledge or the skills to know how to grocery shop, to know how to feed themselves appropriately. And we are over inundated with information out there in the general public that even just the general individual has no idea what they should be eating. It's very confusing. So, I mean, they could see that this is working for other athletes, but if they don't have the funding, they don't have the money to pay for it on their own, and they don't have appropriate education to know what is a good balance, and why would they do it and how would they do it?
I think that's a good point. I remember, now they're going to tease me about this, when I was going to school back in the dinosaur ages, we began in the 3rd grade talking about balanced meals, various food groups, and it would go through, I don't know, maybe you, and we both had that experience in school, but all the way through and all the way up to 10th grade biology, we talked about it. It was usually in health class, or it was in social studies class, or it was in the science class. But we always knew what the food groups were and what at that time was termed a balanced meal. I somehow or other think we've gotten away from that in education. That's exactly what Tonya was talking about. We've gotten away from that so that our kids think, well, you know, pizza for dinner that's okay, that's cool. You know, the bottom line is a can of baked beans is more nutritious for them than pizza, and they don't realize that. But as usual, this conversation, I think, deserves an entire seminar for a day or so, because there's so much information, and I think that we've barely peeled the top off. But just in the last couple of minutes here, Tim, give us your overall observation and some of your personal experiences.
Well, again, at the Division I level, I do remember the lack of time you had to eat in the rush of your schedule, that you would just grab anything. Again, if there's a frozen pizza, you throw it in there. So I hope with these training tables, you know, you're going to see better recovery, you're going to see greater performance. Again, at the lower levels, I don't know. I don't know what you can do, again, with the money. It does seem like we're going backward. I remember when it used to be a mile run, now it's a mile run walk. So that's not always a good thing. But
everybody gets a ribbon, right?
Yeah, everyone gets a ribbon. So we do have a long way to go, but I think we are moving in the right direction.
You know, it reminds me, when I was going to school, Chuck Berry was the man, and he sang a song about, it was school days or something, and he talked about going in the lunchroom, the lady that serves meals so mean, and you don't have time to eat, and so forth. And so, you know, in schools, I don't know if they have enough time to eat or not, but I know that their eating schedules are very strange. You know, we feed our kids like at 6:45 in the morning, because we know that they start serving their lunches like at 10:45, and it's very, very strange. But I was just thinking about Chuck Berry when you said that. Your final observations.
Well, I think one of the bridges that we can use between the smaller colleges and the larger universities is their idea of these snack or fueling stations, because they are a low-cost way to provide food and snacks on the go. They're cheaper, they're quicker, so that the athletes are staying constantly fed, as well as, you know, other students are doing the same. It is a cheaper way that smaller universities could start bridging this gap by providing these fueling stations, and, you know,
they're not all going to have the capability to do a customized shake.
Right. Not everyone can do that, but you can provide these on-the-go snacks and healthy, you know, nutritious mini meals that they can grab on the way. And then it's one way that we're constantly keeping them fueled, even if they can't provide these, you know, $6.6 million cafeterias.
You know, you alluded to something earlier. I don't know how much television you watch, but on the weekends I watch a lot of football. There are a lot of food commercials on there. In the day, through the week, and perhaps even the evening, there are all these competitions about what's good nutrition now. What's the one that this guy comes in, this bottle is going to kick out the mayonnaise and out of the refrigerator and all that. So, and then another guy comes in, he's getting help on. Another guy opens up something from Oscar Mayer with cheese and almonds and so forth. So you really don't know unless you're educated, unless you got the education like Tonya has and the experience like Tim has. We really don't know what to think, and I think it goes back to what both of them said. It's good education. For me, it's very, very encouraging to see that the athletic departments are now spending the money on something other than a new scoreboard or something other than special seats for the big donors. They're actually now spending money and investing in the athletes, because what's the old saying? You are what you eat. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Good luck and good sports. And keep those suggestions coming in to Sports Talk at USSA.edu. You have some tremendous suggestions. Thanks again. Have a great day.